Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, we're going to talk about Roman Gonzalez. And yes, on this channel, we refer to Roman Gonzalez still, even with 2 losses straight, as the real TBE. I still love Roman Gonzalez. So, most recent news on him basically coming out and saying that after he said, I quote, after I win a title, I want a trilogy fight with Rungvisai. He still wants that rematch with Rungvisai, but he wants to win the title first. And you guys know that he's currently been talking about fighting Unify, who is the WBA 115-pound champion. So right now, what's been reported is that he still has to come up. He still has to go to a meeting with his promoter, Mr. Honda of Tekken Promotions, later on this month, and talk about some options that and a date and the location where he'll be fighting next. Also, there's his team and his team and himself are still getting some things straightened out as far as their trainer situation. Now, if you guys don't know, if you haven't heard me say it already, well, his last 2 fights, Roman's had 2 different trainers. His last fight, he had can't remember the guy's name, but he had the Japanese trainer that trained Kamagai, and then he had, I believe, I think it was his dad. His first fight, I can't remember who he's had 2 different trainers for his last 2 fights, and now he's talking about potentially having Felix Trinidad Sr. train him. And if you guys don't know, Felix Trinidad Sr., aside from his son, who was a Hall of Famer, he trained Freza Kendo, and he trained the former flyweight champion Nelson Diepa. If you don't know him, he was the WBO or WBA, I believe, champion. WBO, light flyweight champion. So, he's done some stuff in the sport. Roman's been talking about training with him. Sounded kind of excited for it. But that's still to be determined. But here's what he said in regards to a potential fight with Rungvisai and his fights with Yafai and what he's got going on with his career right now. He said, I quote, I hope that a good proposal will come. I expect an answer from Mr. Honda. We have certainly talked about the KO Yafai scenario. He then goes on by saying this. He said, I wanted to fight in December, but they did not give me the opportunity. They told me to rest. If I get a world title, I might get the opportunity to fight Rungvisai. I want to unify titles with him. Great things will come. There are boxers who have fallen, and they have risen. I said that when I lose, I would have no excuses. Everywhere that I've gone, people have responded very well, and that fills me with satisfaction. In all my fights, I'm in the best condition. Rungvisai knocked me out. He landed a punch that I did not expect, and he connected well. He is a very difficult southpaw, and I had to give him credit. I have no excuses. So that's that. Now, look, you got to applaud that. Whether you like Roman Gonzalez or whether you don't dislike Roman Gonzalez and you think he was overrated and you think that you can't stand him because people like my channel that hyped him up, and I still hype him up. I still think he's an all-time great fighter. I still think he's got far and away, outside of Manny Pacquiao, far and away the best resume of any active fighter in boxing right now. Hands down, not even a question. But aside from that, you got to respect him. A true throwback fighter is Roman Gonzalez. He's a true throwback fighter. A great fighter who, yes, he lost the rematch controversially, didn't make any excuses, didn't say that, I did this and that happened, but he said that I want my rematch. I want to avenge my loss. A great fighter wanted to avenge his loss, or losses if you think he lost the first fight. You got to respect that. He's a true throwback in an era where we have so many guys who they lose one fight or they lose to a guy 2 times, they don't want to fight him again. No. It's like that's why I respect guys like Roman Gonzalez and Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley lost all 3 fights to Manny Pacquiao. I mean, unofficially lost all 3 fights to Manny Pacquiao. Most people look at it that way. But he still wanted that 3rd fight with Pacquiao and to try to really prove that he beat him. Same thing with Roman. He wants that 3rd fight to prove that he could, beat Rungvisai. So I'm with him for that. Only if he can get a title. If he can't get a title, I don't want to see it, because as much as I love Roman, I want to see him actually earn the right to fight Rungvisai, because Rungvisai has now earned his right. Rungvisai has earned his right to go out, such to say this, but he's earned his right to go on to bigger and better things with unification fights with Inoue and, all the other champions in the division. So that's that. But if Roman can get a fight with Rungvisai and wins the title, then I'm all for it. Now, as far as his trainer situation, there was a report that came out that I was going to do a video on, but I guess I'll talk about it a little bit in this video as well. They were saying that Tito Trinidad Sr. was going to train Roman Gonzalez. And to me, look, personally, I don't care who trains Roman Gonzalez, personally. All I care about is that whoever he hires for his next fight whoever he hires to be his trainer for his next fight, tells him and beats it into his head that you have to be Roman Gonzalez. You have to be a volume puncher. You have to be that guy. Move forward and throw combinations. You have to be that guy. Sidestep, pivot, all that stuff, roll shots. Don't be defensive. Don't be reluctant to pull the trigger like you were in the Rungvisai fight, because that's why Rungvisai was able to land 20 punches. And, I want to take this time, too, to explain to other boxing fans out there about smaller weight classes, because I keep seeing these idiotic comparisons. You guys keep seeing, well, this is why he wasn't pound for pound number one, because, look, Andre Ward, he could make adjustments, and Floyd could make adjustments. And this is what you guys are not understanding about the smaller weight classes. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot sit there and do a freaking Philly show and be selective with your punches and pick a shot. You can't do that in small weight classes. Dudes are throwing 800, 900, 1,000 punches. Guys who do that, they get their ass whooped and they're out the weight class, all right? Which is why Roman Gonzalez got beat so bad against Rungvisai. So understand that in the small weight classes where guys are lighter, where guys are smaller, where guys have more energy, they're throwing more punches. Pretty much everybody in the division, in some way, shape, or form, is a volume puncher. Okay, and they're volume punchers with thump at the weight, power at the weight. So you can't go in there and you can't be like this and counter and do all that BS. You can counter it, but you can't be selective as you could in higher weight classes, because these guys have more punches that they're throwing. The more punches that they're throwing, the more you have to be active to slip the shots or counter, or the more you have to yourself impose your will on your opponent and back them up with your own volume punching. So whoever his trainer is next, they just have to make sure to tell him, and that they work on it in camp, that they beat it into his head in the gym and in the mind, that he has to be himself, that he has to be the Roman Gonzalez with tremendous footwork, with tremendous balance, with tremendous volume punching, and display that pound for pound number one ability that you had all along, and you still have to this day. I still think Roman Gonzalez, despite his 2 losses, that somewhere in there is still just a little bit of that pound for pound number one guy. It's just really up here where he's losing his fights. So if they can beat it up and do it up here, I'm all for it. But that's the news. Roman Gonzalez, a true throwback fighter, despite of this devastating loss to Rungvisai. He's saying, look, I want to get this strap against Unify, because Roman Gonzalez feels like that's a fight he can win. I want to get the strap against Unify, get that title, get back into contention, and I want that Rungvisai third fight, and I want to avenge that loss. Whether you love him or you hate him, you got to respect the attitude. You got to respect the mentality of Roman Gonzalez, of a true champion. He wants the Rungvisai third fight. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think about it? I know a lot of you guys are probably going to say he's crazy for that because Rungvisai just has his number, but you got to admire the mentality. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.